finally set up, so we are back for Game 2 of this best of 3. Welcome back to the AMD Dota 2 Premier League. This is our regional qualifier finals, and this is Group C, one of the two semifinals, which will determine who advances to the main event to face off against the invited teams. This is Game 2 of a best of 3 set between TnC and Fairy Tail. TnC taking Game 1 in a convincing fashion, winning pretty much all 3 of their lanes and continuing to just bear down, no pun intended, until they clinched out the game. So I am Baseskip. I'm excited to be here bringing you guys this one. I am starting to get a little bit tired, but I think everything should be a-okay. And I think Fairy Tail really getting blindsided by a last pick Darkseer in the previous game, along with a very minor warding mistake early in the game, costing them a lot of strength on that tri-lane on top, though not necessarily the primary cause. Some lucky haste runes and whatnot from the Darkseer as well, coming up to be a bit of a nuisance. So Fairy Tail, they tried something a little bit new. We'll see if they continue to mix things up or if they're going to be going back to old reliable in this game. Again, if they lose this one, they are out of the competition, out of the running for their piece of the $5,000 cash prize pool for this competition. As far as bans go, we have a Batrider, a Lone Druid, a Keeper of Light, and a Nyx, so nothing too surprising there between Fairy Tail and TnC. And TnC going to start us off with a pickup on the Lifestealer. So Fairy Tail, there is still a Magnus, there's still a Shadow Demon as well. If they want Shadow Demon, then they have to be willing to give TnC Rubik. And what else is still in the pool? There is the pesky Darkseer from last game, also nice to have against the Lifestealer, though in a more kiting capacity than obviously locking him down, and having the lockdown is great. So most teams do have a couple of things up their sleeve to deal with these early pick Lifestealers, and Fairy Tail, I think I mentioned it in the draft for last game, and I said, well, you know, KP Tinker, it's got to be a secret weapon, and that secret weapon is coming out right now. And I guess it's not really a secret when everybody knows, but everybody wants to watch it, and we're going to be seeing some K-Phoenix Tinker, hopefully some K-Phoenix Tinker in this game. Shadow Demon going to be that support pickup as the way to help deal with the Nakes. Demonic Purge, I think it speaks for itself in terms of being good at kiting Nakes around, and defensive disruptions and even offensive disruptions galore help keep Nakes off of his intended target. So Fairy Tail, none too surprising in terms of the picks right now, but TnC, I think you've got to see the Nakes, you got to see the Tinker. You're going to take the Mag, but you got to start thinking that you might want to take a Storm Spirit or a Quap in the last 2 picks. And I think Fairy Tail need to be starting to think, okay, how do we best protect the Tinker? He is our greatest asset. He can do a lot if he's given space in these fights. If we have somebody to be at the front for KP to be bouncing around, hexing and laying down marches and, you know, just kiting Lifestealer in every single direction and gradually killing him with March of the Machines. Magnus is going to be picked up along with Rubik to cover the pick. Rubik obviously quite a strong support overall as well. And the very nice thing about Rubik is if the game drags on ultralight, he can stand to build a couple of fairly big items. And if he can steal rearm, then he can stand to, you know, maybe Yule, get some multiple Yuleses out or something along those lines. It's not necessarily great because he doesn't really have the mana pool to support it, but there is the potential there for the later stages of the game. But more importantly, he's going to be really nice to have with the Lifestealer. They can pick up either a Leshrac or a Lina as their follow-up support. Queen of Pain is actually going to be taken here by Fairy Tail. So we're probably going to see an Orchid on the Queen of Pain, played by Fumofu. Nice to help deal with the Lifestealer, and should be a really nice matchup for him on mid, especially if it is going to be against that Magnus. So it's TnC looking for that offlaner, looking for a support as well. They could look to go aggressive, especially given that Fairy Tail are probably going to be running the tri-lane around the Tinker to try and protect him, though Tinker may be able to handle a 1v1 situation against a Magnus in the safe lane. We'll have to see once we get further into this game. Both teams are looking for a follow-up support, so I don't know if too many will be banned out. TnC, with the first pickup coming out of this phase, can afford to say, we're going to ban Leshrac as our very last ban. Well, they can ban it as their very last ban, and then try and grab the Lina, and Fairy Tail might be forced into a position where they don't really want to ban Lina. But there's some mutual assurance stuff going on, and we might see both teams be able to get that follow-up support. Fairy Tail, they're going to choose to ban out a Templar Assassin here, just removing some more solos. Again, TnC are looking for one, and they could be looking to run an aggressive tri-lane, and they could look to run Magnus as the solo top, and then they could have space for a mid themselves. So there's still plenty of options there as far as laning configurations go, and I wouldn't be too surprised to actually see them go aggressive, especially given that it is going to be a farming Tinker. He is fairly easy to bring down, though there are going to be offensive and defensive disruptions to help keep him up and running. So Lena's actually going to be banned here by Fairy Tail. I think part of the Lena ban is that, okay, here's the thing. If Leshrac is taken by TnC, they don't mind so much. Leshrac doesn't bring the same degree of burst damage. His pushing capabilities are going to be nullified a little bit by the counter push and the split push pressure of both the Queen of Pain and the Tinker. So Leshrac isn't a huge deal. He is going to matter, you know, he's got that follow-up stun, he's great at tri-lane, he's fantastic there. But the bigger thing with Lena is that people are going to get Ghost Scepters against an Aix, and people get Ghost Scepters against an Aix, and then they get Laguna Bladed, which is just never a fun thing to happen. So Fairy Tail, I really like the ban on the Lena. I don't think they want to give it to TnC. It's way too, it's really, really strong with Rubik. Lots of lockdown. Has enough lockdown to bring down a Queen of Pain. If you have just somebody with some damage in the lane as well, be it a Magnus, be it a Puck, be it anyone, Rubik plus Lena is going to be great for help while trying to deal with the Quap. So I really like the ban here. TnC, they're going to choose to ban out a Clockwork. And Fairy Tail are looking for that off-lane solo at the moment. Still not really clear for them if that off-laner is going to be up against a tri-lane or if he's going to be up against a solo. So Fairy Tail need to keep their options open and make sure whoever they send up there is going to be able to deal with either eventuality. And Weaver is going to be banned out in that respect. And Storm Spirit, I mentioned him right as we saw the Tinker pickup. We had a Naix. Storm Spirit, I think, makes a ton of sense in this draft. He's a hero that makes life a living hell for Tinker. And Queen of Pain. Queen of Pain can buy a BKB to help deal with him. Tinker, less so. And especially with the potential for Naix bombs, and the potential for even Naix to buy an Orchid, I think Storm was a must ban for Fairy Tail, and they're going to get right on top of it. Nothing getting past
10 seconds remaining.
Nothing getting past snoring here. That's what ZZZZZ is. That is the onomatopoeia. Is that the word that I'm looking for? I think it's onomatopoeia. Okay, I'm not gonna Google it. I'm just gonna look stupid if I'm wrong. But that's the motivation behind the name. Some of you may know him better as Cynical. He's been around in the Australian scene for quite a while. And TnC, they're going to pick themselves up a Juggernaut. A very sort of all-in pushy hero. They get themselves a lot of right-click between the Naix, the Juggernaut, and the Magnus. All of those sweet buffs going around. And they also give themselves another magic immunity carry to run in this potential tri-lane. They are very melee-heavy at the moment, but we'll see if that's going to hurt them that much. The melee dependence is going to hurt. They are going to be kited around. They are going to be kited around in March, and it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough just to get damage down since Fairy Tail's team is fairly evasive. They've got those snares, they've got those slows. And Fairy Tail right now, what are they looking at? I mean, the Bane ban out from TnC really helps lead them into this Juggernaut and Lifestealer pickup. And I almost want to say Vengeful Spirit for Fairy Tail. I think they need more ways to deal with magic immunity at the moment. If they don't pick up something in their last two picks that's going to be able to reliably deal with the magic immunity, then I just think they're going to have Juggernaut playing aggressively, Lifestealer playing aggressively, and then if they get into trouble, they can just spin or Rage and TP out. The one thing that's going to prevent that is going to be Chain Hexes, and slightly earlier than that is going to be an Orchid on the Queen of Pain, but that's going to be it as far as I can tell for stopping aggressive play coming from TnC early. And Fairy Tail, they're going to pick themselves up a Chen, a hero that's going to be played by Vandal in this instance, and gives them a lot of pushing power on the back of the Tinker, and also gives Tinker some nice reliable targets to TP2 in the middle of a fight. So it's exciting.
10 seconds remaining.
The winner of this match will face 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 versus Netherlick SG. I'm not sure how these teams, the winners of these teams, are actually seeded into the main event, but the winners of each of the semifinals definitely advance to the main event. So that game, if it will happen, the winner of this game versus the winner of the other semifinal, won't be happening tonight until it won't be happening at least until the group stages are over. I'm gonna have to go in and check out all the details as far as the main event is concerned to check for you guys if that matchup specifically will be happening, but it will not be happening tonight. I can confirm at least that much for you. Jakiro is going to be the choice here from TnC. Nice follow-up to the Rubik, and Anti-Mage going to be the choice for Fairy Tail. So I think they're just looking to split push this one out, use the combined power of the Anti-Mage and the Tinker to that effect, and Tinker really hoping to counter push this one, though the Juggernaut ward is going to be a big help for these melee heroes in the middle of the fight. It's going to help take the edge off that March of the Machines just a little bit. So, like the Juggernaut pickup, we're see if TnC are going to be punished too much for this very melee-heavy lineup as we get into the game. But anyway, over on the side of Fairy Tail, we're going to have Vandal playing, or VDK playing the Chen, K Phoenix or KP on the Tinker, Kux is going to be on the Anti-Mage, Famofu on the Queen of Pain, and ZZZ Snoring, or Cynical is going to be on the Shadow Demon. Over on the side of TnC, we have Sleepnot playing the Lifestealer. BNJR Lay is going to be on the Magnus. I don't know if that's like Bonjour, but I'm just going to... We'll just stick with the hero name for now, unless somebody in chat who's a big fan can help clarify for me. So he's going to be on Mag. Tushi is going to be on Jakiro. Shinchan is going to be on Juggernaut, and Aaron is going to be on Rubik. They're making their way up towards top right now. We've got Obs, we've got Sentries, we've got Boots on Jug. Looks like they might just be trying to set him up for the off lane at the moment. Mag with a Bottle Rush ready to go. He's going to be on mid. And Sleepnot expecting to be tri-laned, well, expecting to be against a tri-lane perhaps. He has a Stout Shield picked up. So thinking that they might be harassed a little bit. They're looking to block out some camps right now, keeping Observer Ward down. And that Observer Ward will not be dewarded by the standard unblocking sentry, so they're going to be able to have vision of rotations from Chen even after Fairy Tail think that they've managed to get rid of this ward. So I really like the warding decisions from TnC, and it really shows that they're thinking about what's happening in this game. So Kux is going to be farming up on top. We've got Famofu actually as an offlane Queen of Pain, Blink as the first point picked up, KP heading towards mid as the Tinker, a last second, well, not sure if it's an adjustment as far as lanes are concerned from FT. And who got the slightly better block on mid? It's very even, but the range creep was leading for the Magnus. So, yeah, it's just going to be a spam fest back and forth. Snoring. Where are the sentries? The spin's going to go out on KP on mid. This is the level 1 Juggernaut. He's going to be able to tango up, and the tower still going to work. Shockwave flying through. In comes the Shadow Demon. He's got a disruption. KP comes in. He's got a laser as well. A couple more right clicks is what they need, and there's the laser. First blood will be drawn by Fairy Tail on mid. Not quite enough damage with the Boots first spinning Jug from TnC. And had that block gone worse for KP, he could have ended up in a situation where he was closer to the enemy cliff and then gotten killed off. KP, we've actually got Magnus going in really aggressively on mid. Shockwave isn't going to be able to get the kill, however. And now here comes the rotation, and it's a troll as well. I think this is a dead Magnus. He doesn't have a skewer. He's going to start getting right-clicked, and in comes Aaron as well. However, KP already with his bottle from that first blood. And just the raw aggression for Magnus on mid. He's going to get a salve dropped off by Rubik. But TnC go really, really hard to try and shut down the KP Tinker out of the gate, but he survives and walks away with the first blood. Ton of gold going his way. So Sleepnot's going to be farming away at bot. It is going to be this offlane Juggernaut played by Shin. And with Boots and Spin, he can afford to play up and get quite a bit of experience going. Though it does need to be careful of ganks coming in from Vandal. And looks like Fairy Tail not actually that concerned that their camp, well, that their pole has been warded up. Though Vandal does have some sentries at the moment. They've got Shin making a rotation towards mid one more time, but KP still happily farming away underneath his tower. Our 2-minute rune is going to be down at bot, and looks like the ball. It's a walking courier with the bottle. I don't think Magnus can afford to wait, so yeah, he's gonna pick that one up. Unfortunately, won't be able to top off his mana. If the supports had a little bit more gold, waiting for the flying courier would have been great. But unfortunately, neither of them are there just yet. Looks like they've actually been more or less equitably distributing the farm. The Jakiro hadn't taken a hit just yet, and we'll probably just see the courier pop up into the air in a second. And we're going to have a pause. Farm going really well for Kux up on top. We've got a little bit of lag for TnC. I'm going to take this as a very quick opportunity to show you guys the pings. As you can see, all of TnC hovering around 180, while Fairy Tail all over the place, all sitting above 200 more or less, so a slight ping disadvantage to Fairy Tail in this match. And Mag does now have his bottle on mid, so can continue the spam to keep getting farm, but is sitting a little bit behind the KP Tinker right now. And down at bot, Famofu walks in and actually gets cleaned up by just the Rubik and the Jakiro right now. Was actually up to level 2, but didn't give him that much more survivability, and will drop. So a little bit unlucky for him. 1-1 the overall score right now. Meanwhile, Kux on top, contentedly farming away, definitely leading the board for now. VDK goes for a smoke, but he's right underneath a Radiant Sentry and a Radiant Observer, so I don't think this gank should connect. Though Shin, he's actually dilly-dallying a little bit and needs to be careful. There is this Troll Trap, which can help lock him down, and oh, the Skeleton Warrior is going to move around to scout out where he is headed, and VDK needs to get this micro down. The Troll not quite fast enough to chase after the boost already, Juggernaut. So Shin's going to be fine to escape up into the enemy jungle for now. Not quite level 3, doesn't have that next point up in Blade Fury just yet. I don't think he's going to be able to go for a kill on the Chen or anything of that nature. Famofu, meanwhile, as the offlane Queen of Pain, is diligently stacking up the Ancients, presumably for KP. So we saw a lot of this in the last game, and we're seeing it again now. A lot of farm going the way of the KP Tinker, and again, a lot of eggs in that basket. And it looks like TnC not aware of this just yet, or even if they are, haven't picked up any wards to try and block it out. And I think everything really going to plan for Fairy Tail right now. They tried something a little bit different in the last game, but going back to the staples of their play now, and it's really working out well for them. I'm not quite sure why VDK is actually killing off the biggest creep first, since he really wants to get some skeletons up and not lose too much health on the troll, but that's such a minor point. I'm not even sure why I'm talking about it. Famofu's going to blink his way down and around into the trees. Sleep not back behind the tower. A couple of range creeps here to get some damage down on the tier 1. Fortification is ready to go, however. But Famofu walks back in, he gets open wounds, he gets hit, and he doesn't have the blink. He's going to go down. The tier 1 offers no safety down at bot, and Famofu dies one more time. Unlucky play for him, and well, just a little bit unfortunate as far as play goes. For him on this bottom lane. Needs that blink off cooldown every single time he's going to go for something. Meanwhile on mid, KP still just farming away. And not only is, Famofu dying a blow for him and his overall position in the game, if he's not there, he's not stacking Ancients, and that's something that, KP was not necessarily relying on, but would love to have as far as progressing. And if KP is having a fantastic time, then they can even just look to give it to Kux. But Kux isn't doing half bad either. So 1 lane out of 3 going badly for FT is not too bad. Juggernaut is going to spin, but he can be netted while spinning. The troll very fortunate in that regard, and Kux jumps in. He's going to finish off that kill on Jug. And a nicely timed rotation from VDK. They got the D ward off as well, so there was no way for Shin to know when that gank was coming. And he's going to get cleaned up to bring the score up to 2 for 2, and looks like Fairy Tail going to turn this straight into a tower push as well. TP's heading up towards top, but there's a disruption. The clap ready to go, and they don't manage to quite connect. The Soul Catcher, however, and Jug's going to be fine to spin away. But I don't think this is going to be enough to deter Fairy Tail from going in for this push. Chen creeps fairly low, but Shin cannot afford to get close. Troll is actually completely out of mana. That's the most threatening thing right now. And TP support now coming in. VDK going to be in a little bit of trouble. Sleepnot is here. Defensive disruption buying him some time, however. No clap, no nothing. He's going to actually fake down and just buying space for his squad to get out of the way. They managed to clean up his creeps as well, but they got the tower. And TnC TP'd everyone to murder him. Even smoked supports making their way up as well. This is space for Fumofu, and this is space for KP. I'm not sure if they needed to bring everybody to the fore for that fight. Had they maybe fortified and been able to get the deny off on the tower, then that would have been great, but they blew fortification really early, right as the creep wave clashed against the tower. And I think then they started to run everybody up, but getting there a little bit too late. And I think a little bit of wasted time. They didn't need everybody there to be able to pick up those kills. So 3 for 2, the advantage so far. XP and gold both in favor of Fairy Tail. They are getting everything out of all 3 lanes, plus the jungle and the ancients, so being a little bit more efficient with their time right now. And KP picks up his Soul Ring, able to head across and start clearing out the Ancients. TnC are going to come in, but the stack's already cleared and Fumofu's just chilling out for a moment. He might still die. He's actually just bottle crowing, gonna get lifted. There's gonna be an ice path as well, and I don't know if he can blink. He can, but is he gonna tick down from the dual breath? Looks like it. No, Hand of God pops. Fumofu's still alive. TnC in a pretty bad spot behind the tower, but Sleepnot's gonna be able to pick that one up regardless. Now pop the infest for some more health. No TP support ready to go. Snoring did actually have a TP up, but the side's better of it in the end, I guess, relying on the Hand of God to try and keep up Fumofu. Shin has his phase boots up, no Omni Slash at the moment, but Magnus is hunting as well for VDK. He's just running away, leaving the creeps behind for the moment. And Tier 2 tower is going to fall on bot despite earnest effort from KP to try and counter push with that march. So nicely played by TnC. They're up by 2 kills. They've got this early Urn up on Rubik as well. Going to need all of the heals that they can muster to be able to try and push up onto the high ground against, especially push up onto the high ground against the Tinker. But between Nullfield and Urn, a mech, and hopefully a pipe maybe somewhere along the way, and not to mention the Healing Ward, which should hopefully be picking up some points at some point. Again, Nullfield and Healing Ward are going to be big tools for TnC to push up against this Tinker. But meanwhile, they're going to bring 3 in on mid, start to pressure in. Kux still quite contentedly farming away. I think he's already got the rest of his Battle Fury components almost up, and Fairy Tail still stalling. While bottom lane is now gone, so that's time that they could bank on. They really need to be holding on to these tier 1s on mid and on top, so KP I think is going to be very, very careful about making sure that they don't get too close, because I mean, this tier 1 is a lot of protection for the jungle, and Anti-Mage can clear out the entire Dire jungle in under a minute. He can make use of it, and so being able to hold on to all the camps is going to be important. He is going to be fairly difficult to kill. It's going to require about 3 heroes from TnC to kill him off, at least until Nakes has something like Orchid, or maybe even a Lucky Basher going on. I just don't think Rubik plus Jakiro is going to be enough. They might be forced to RP him just to ensure a kill. Having a look at Magnus, he almost has, well, working towards his Blink Dagger at the moment. Snoring comes in on mid. Centaur here for a bit of pushing action as well, but KP needs to be ready to go up on top, stop these pushes happening. And Fairy Tail doing a good job of keeping wards down to see pushes coming from a long way away, so that KP can always know where he needs to be heading next, and always be ready to go start laying down marches, preventing TnC from getting any sort of easy towers. And as you can see, now making his way back up towards top at the moment. Juggernaut, his reward for his patience on the offlane and not dying too much, only the 1 death given up. He's going to be able to head into the jungle, start spinning down some camps, start healing his way through and get some farm out that way. KP, there's a wraparound. Oh, and the Ice Path just barely misses there. Sleepnot healing up from the damage suffered from the march and down at half HP. I think TnC might have to call it quits on this top lane. Though KP going to have to be very careful with his positioning. He is the gatekeeper for Fairy Tail in this game right now. He is the one that holds off all the pushes. He is the one that stalls the game for Fumofu to be able to farm up. And without him, towers will fall and the game will quickly start going sour. VDK is going to be killed off on mid as 3 heroes rush straight in. KP still just healing mana back at base, and now going to be TPing in onto some creeps to be able to start laying down this March. Throws up the rockets, there's the March, and getting into position. Are there any points up in the healing ward just yet? There are not, and I think TnC do really need it. Shin going to be forced back. The tier 1 at bot going to be taken by Kux and Famofu. And Fairy Tail being very efficient with their time right now, only sending as many heroes as are needed to defend these pushes. And the number of heroes that are needed is pretty much KP, and Snoring needs to be carrying... Snoring really needs to be carrying a TP. If KP gets initiated on underneath the tower, the game plan needs to be Snoring TPs in, defensively disrupts KP, he might die, but in the duration... so everybody starts TPing at the same time, Snoring leads. Snoring defensively disrupts KP, everybody else is going to land in the duration of that defensive disruption, and they can punish. So Snoring carrying a TP scroll at all times is very, very mission critical at this point in time. So TnC for the moment just backing off, getting a little bit of farm, waiting around for this Blink Dagger up on Magnus, which they can just strictly use as a tool to try and kill Tinker, and really like to see that they're not going for anything over aggressive before they have that one up. It's a very big pickup, and it's the biggest boost in effectiveness that Magnus is going to get pretty much all game until he starts looking towards a Refresher Orb in the very late stages. Meanwhile, TnC support's still getting farm going, Tashi working his way towards a mech, and Aaron, we still haven't seen where his build is going to go after here, but I would really like to see Fade Bolt maxed out and then start getting points up in Nullfield, as opposed to too much more in the Telekinesis. Speaking of Blink Daggers, we have one picked up by KP, so this is going to help him out even more in his counter-pushing efforts, going to be able to continuously blink backwards, blink into trees, and just keep this March of the Machines rolling. Meanwhile, top, Kux has had that Battle Fury up for a little bit, still being a pain. Split pushing and forcing TnC to have heroes in other lanes, stopping them going for an all-in push. Juggernaut was working his way towards what appears to be a Battle Fury at the moment, and I mean the cleave plus the empower is going to do a lot as far as pushing these waves down and forcing KP to be jumping from lane to lane a little bit more often. And meanwhile at top, Kux gets hit by an Omni Slash and a Reverse Polarity, which is going to kill him off despite the efforts of a Hand of God. Sorry about that one, guys. Should have seen the Magnus moving into position for that kill. So, KP going to be forced up towards top. The tower is fairly healthy, however. So Fairy Tail with heroes on mid should be fine to stall out until KP can make a reappearance. The Tornado is harassing a little bit as well, though. Sleepknot has his eyes firmly set on this one. He has an armlet picked up as well, some more and more damage coming online for him. VDK has 2 deaths, but still making very good progress towards his mech. And Sleepknot just doing his best to take doing his best not to take any additional damage, and needs as much life as he can to push up onto the high ground. And again, just staying in this march for a very short duration is really ruining him right now. Center Road's going to be thrown down on mid. KP is going to blink straight away from that ice path. And Famofu has a lot of space now in this game. 3 or 4 heroes have been consistently pressuring mid, and KP has been denying them solo. So that's meant that Fairy Tail have had heroes on the rest of the map, farming up, getting items, and that's the cause of this gold and experience lead, 2k in their favor in both directions. Kux just working his way towards some treads, has those finished up. That death unfortunate, but still leading the way, just behind KP in terms of farm. And TnC continue to leave 3 heroes on mid, maybe waiting for KP to head off to another lane, but so long as there are heroes here, KP is going to be keeping his attention on top. And now it looks like Sleepknot suggesting an alternate angle of attack, maybe turning their attentions towards the tier 1 on top. The nice thing for Fairy Tail is that they're not really too concerned about bottom lane at the moment. Their relevant region of the map is really just this little section encompassing their jungle. So long as they're holding on to that, and so long as they are farming, they have to feel pretty confident about the ability of Anti-Mage to carry this game out, and the ability of just the relevance of the Queen of Pain and the Tinker to the equation. Kux, if he has enough survivability, if he has enough damage, there is going to be the lockdown to back him up there. However, TnC They're looking for a chink in the armor. They're looking for the alternate way through. Kux has already thrown out a blink. It is maxed out, however, he's going to have another one in just a second, but the reverse polarity going to be thrown out on him. Can he survive long enough? Is there a hand of God? There is. It's going to be thrown out. Kux still alive, but blinks. Here is the chase, but now TP support comes in. The ice bat just barely connects. Nicely played by Tushy. KP comes in, but too late to really get too much else out. But are they going to be able to hold on to this tower? Again, every tower is very, very precious. The TP support is coming in. One cancelled by KP, but he's going to be there soon. Fomofa comes in. He gets hit by the macro fire. He gets lifted. Defensive disruption from Snoring. Going to keep him alive for a while. He's able to blink out. Still just barely alive. Bottling up. Nicely played there by Fairy Tail. But TnC still chasing. VDK send back on Fomofu. He's going to be home in just a second's time. And a nice trap as well. Vandal with the micro skills. Enron, however... Well, Aaron is, however, chasing. And they're going to be able to skewer back the Valiant Chen to his doom. Tushy gets nuked. KP, is he actually going to go for this one? He's blinked up onto the high ground. KP takes a vantage point. And is there going to be a trap? Are they going to be able to trap the Rubik on the very edge of the march? Yes, they can, but he's still got a blink. Sleepknot now to target the Rockets. Double kill for KP. Nicely microed by Vandal and nicely played by K Phoenix. TnC do, however, manage to pick up a very significant kill on the Anti-Mage, but the overall goal of progressing on the map denied by some nice play by Fairy Tail. And Shin is actually just trying to chase into the March of the Machines right now. But if he reveals himself, KP is going to go hard. And he's going to pick up that kill. The rank 3 healing ward not actually enough to keep Juggernaut survivable through that March. And did he actually have spin up there? I just think maybe wasn't expecting KP to go for that kill. TP in right now for Aaron on mid. He does have a blink chasing after Fomofu at the moment. But he's actually gone down, ready to just blink himself up onto the high ground. So he's going to be absolutely fine. Aaron comes down to get a little bit of warding done while he has the safety of this blink. This blink steal, and still has some observer wards up as well. And Cox continues to farm 1.4k gold up in the bank. Net worth and gold and experience continue to push out in favor of Fairy Tail, and TnC have just not found the angle of attack that's going to get them through this game. Magnus now working his way towards what appears to be a Force Staff. Just for that little bit of extra go, and Snoring tries to get the disruption, but Fast Fingers on the blink is going to get Magnus back to safety. Meanwhile, at bot, the Invis Rubik is still just hunting Fomofu. He's playing very defensively, however, completely blocked in by these trees, just soaking up a little bit of experience from the undenied creeps from Sleepknot. Because why would you deny? There's no heroes nearby. There's no reason to keep denying the wave and try and keep the equilibrium. So Fomofu is going to be fine to pop out and grab himself some farm. There we've got some warding happening fairly aggressively from Fairy Tail as well. And the creeps? Okay, this is just great. So Chen's creeps go into the Radiant Jungle. KP gets dropped off so that he can steal 3 camps in the Radiant Jungle and then head home. So if you thought Fairy Tail were being effective with their use of the map before, this is some next level stuff right now. I think Vandal could be using one of his creeps to stack up the Ancients a little bit more, and those have gone by the wayside. But that is a very cheeky play using the Radiant Jungle in that way. But KP needs to be back and ready to defend on mid sooner rather than later. Needs to get these March layers down. The Dark Trolls just hedging everybody back a little bit, but Sleepknot's going to pop through one with the Infest. The March, however, still just wiping everyone out. There's one Troll Trap. There's a second Troll Trap. Sleepknot, you've used your Infest. Are you going to die? Hit by the Demonic Purge. And Snoring now walks in. Shin trying to make some space, but dying equally to the March. It's an equal opportunity murder, and Aaron comes in. He does have a stolen Holy Persuasion, so they're going to be able to try and grab onto Chen's creeps for a little bit. But meanwhile, Fomofu is just pushing on bot. Fairy Tail again, just using the right number of heroes for the job. However, this time it was 4 required to counter that push. So Aaron's just going to get a bit of farm. Shin still working his way towards that Battle Fury. Kux 3k gold up in the bank, continuing to climb ahead of the Nakes right now, who does still have some fairly significant farm and has now picked up that Skull Basher. Again, I touched on the point earlier that it was going to be reverse polarities required to kill off Anti-Mage in this game, though some lucky bashes might help reduce that requirement at least a little bit And TnC, we saw this recipe before. They're going to be smoking up and heading towards top, and we'll see if round 2 is going to be any more successful. Yasha picked up for Kux, so some more survivability coming his way as soon as he finishes farming up that ultimate orb and just bouncing from camp to camp, hopefully communicating with VDK all the while about what creeps he needs and what creeps Kux can just murder for gold, and Kux needs to be careful. I don't think he suspects what's going on. Mass pings go out, strength treads up for Kux, and he has caught wind of what's happening. It looks like he's going to run himself out. And fortunately, he actually finished up his jungle as well, so I don't even know if he suspected what was going on so much as he was just like, oh, there's nothing left here to farm. Let's just go farm somewhere else. So he's going to walk all the way down to his Ancients. Again, I think Fairy Tail could be making better use of their Ancients right now. If they're going to be cute and try and steal the Radiant's jungle, they could be slightly less cute and get more out by just stacking their own Ancients. Though looks like Kux going to make the transition down to the Radiant jungle, where he can more quickly access these Ancients and a whole bunch of camps. So Fairy Tail, this time it's them in the role of the aggressors. TnC, they're going to push in on top. Are Fairy Tail going to take this trade? I think maybe with this tier 2 down, feeling confident that they can make use of the Radiant jungle as their primary farming source as opposed to the Dire, but KP is actually going to come up, lay down the march, and it looks like Fairy Tail, they have no interest in equality. They're going to go straight in. Vandal's going to drop, but can they pick up any more? Famofu gets hit by the skewer, but he's going to be fine to blink himself out. TnC mass TP, but they only managed to kill off the Chen again. And Fairy Tail don't manage to pick up the tower, however, so overall, actually pretty good for TnC, though they did throw out a reverse polarity there. But you can't wait, you can't hold on to it. A kill is a kill, and presence on the map is presence on the map, so you cannot fault them for using their long cooldown abilities. The long cooldown abilities are designed for getting kills. They are not designed for just threatening and sitting there and doing nothing and waiting around for the biggest team fight, waiting around for that one opportunity. Mag will have another RP in 60 seconds. It is not that long a cooldown. So, Fairy Tail, they need to try and counter push on mid. KP looks like he was just trying to deal with Sleep Knot on bot, but this, I think a rare lapse from him might lose them the tier 1 on mid. Looks like they might actually have been going for a kill. Famofu is just sitting on top of Sleep Knot right now. But yeah, KP trying to go for the counter push at bot. Tier 1 on mid is going to fall. A less significant tower now, though they still have to care about it. Roshan is still a big target, and they've only got the tier 2 left on mid to really keep tabs on that. Though they do have really good overall map presence. Just between the two blinkers and obviously KP, who can be anywhere that Chen is at the snap of a finger. At the snap of two fingers, I guess. It's kind of hard to snap one finger unless you're breaking it. But yeah, anyway. So, lame mind-bending observations aside, TnC have managed to find these gaps. They've managed to find the openings. Slipknot appears to now be working his way towards an AC, so if he does get that time against a tower, it's going to be a big help. And minus armor, actually very, very effective against anti-mage. He is not want to build armor until he starts sort of building into a butterfly and things like that. And that's just the incidental armor from the agility. KP is going to try and counter push on the top, but the rest of FT are actually just trying to now take trade. Oh, KP, be careful. Yep, goes for the cancel. Tashi is already waiting there, and there's an infested... there is an infested Nags ready to go as well. I think the threaten there just to prevent the TP. I don't know if they were going to be able to get a kill at the same time, but KP not able to get in position to counter push. However, Fairy Tail, I don't know if they care because Kux is already up onto the high ground and so is KP. Tier 2 taken by Famofu on bot. And KP, what was that? Pops up, manages to kill off the Jakir. He is going to get lifted, he is going to get Omni Slash, and he is finally going to die. 5 for 1, the score for him at this point in the game. So gets a little bit ballsy, and is finally taken out by TnC. However, Fairy Tail, I mean, it looked like they wanted to defend these towers for a really long time, and then in the end they decided, we got Hex on KP, that was the goal, that was the game plan. We've got Anti-Mage's Manta style pretty much finished up. That was the game plan. Now we're happy to give you the towers because we don't need the farm as much. And immediately they start taking trades. TnC still intent on getting the towers because that's what they need to do. They need to keep pushing in. They need to get another lane of tier. They need to get at least another tier 2 down so that if they get a really good push going, if they get a really good team fight going, they can start threatening multiple racks. But yeah, Fairy Tail, I think, just playing fantastically right now. Despite being down by 4 kills, I think they are up quite a bit of golden experience. Snoring is going to defensively disrupt himself on mid, but I don't think there is any hope for our Shadow Demon right now. 7.5k is the gold advantage in favor of FT, and 7.5k experience as well. So despite being down 5 kills, they are continuing to outfarm. And Fairy Tail, now the counter push. TnC, commit 5. This is when they counter push, but they're still leaving Cucks on top. Again, it's a question of how many heroes do they need to use to stop the push happening, and in all of these cases, it's one less than TnC are actually bringing, and Shin now gets hit by the Hex. They're looking for the initiation, but the Sonic Wave gonna connect. Shin able to spin, but still very, very low. The Macro Pyre drop from Ofu walking straight through that one. Gonna get hit by the reverse polarity. It's only for him. KP off to the side now, jumping across. Aaron is gonna get hit by a Hex, and now the Manta Style Illusion going to work. Cox with a triple hits the Mana Void, and a buyback from Famofu. This is the bounce back that Fairy Tail we're looking for. And Shin's going to be able to just barely slink himself away, working his way towards an Aghanim Scepter at the moment. But Fairy Tail, the charge is straight down mid. There's no outer towers left. And KP ready to go, pushing in at top at the same time. Are there buybacks available on the Radiant? This is actually a very relevant question. Sleepknot does have one, as does Magnus, but there's no reverse polarity to speak of at the moment. Fortification is going to pop. Are they going to try and wait at this 20 seconds? It might be at least one Rax given away here. There are 3 up to try and defend, but there's no Macro Pyre to try and deter. And Rubik coming in. FT still just dancing around. Can they get this Rax down? Need to not overcommit to this fight. There are heroes about to respawn, but Tashi now in trouble. He's going to get hexed up. KP looking for that next blink, the next hex. In jumps Magnus, sliding and blinking through, but the March of the Machines doing way too much damage. Omnislash jumps onto Famofu. He's going to drop. And Fairy Tail, I think, losing a little bit of sight of the objective. Sleepknot has no respawn. VDK going to be in trouble, gets bashed up. And Aaron still chasing and Snoring in a bit of trouble. KP dancing around the edge of the fight, but needs to go back for mana right now. And no TP up on Snoring either. Cucks still fighting at bot, but TnC do manage to successfully defend at the end of the day. The Age is still up on Cucks as well. They've got another 3 minutes left with that one. So probably going to make another attempt at these racks in a little while. And as far as mana is concerned for both Snoring and for Cucks, they are pretty much primed and ready to go. KP, you know the story for KP. He can be on full health and mana whenever he wants it, and everybody else has now respawned to start making their way down. Looks like Vandal might make a bit of a trip to the jungle to try and pick up some aura creeps to help enable this push. And there are actually some nice ones waiting around. We've got an Alpha Wolf, we've got some more Trolls, which has been using to great effect to keep the Nakes locked down, and even more Trolls. So I think Vandal's going to be very happy with the situation in the jungle right now. And I don't know if that is an intentional situation that he somehow set up for himself earlier on, but going to be a happy camper all the same. We've got a Blink Dagger picked up by Nakes. Oh no, we have a Blink Dagger picked up. He bought a Blink, where is it? I guess he sold it and started going for more survivability. Yeah, so Blink Nakes is a thing. It's definitely a thing. And it helps him close the gap and get on top of heroes that he normally wouldn't be able to kill, but for now the other problem is just locking down people. I would have frankly liked to have seen an Orchid on the Nakes this game. It would have left him very, very squishy, but it would help kind of prevent situations like this with Famofu, who's just sort of dancing around. If he gets bashed, he's in trouble. But KP is going to tinker in. He's going to TP in, and Sleepknot pops the rage. KP goes top. KP is everywhere on the map in the blink of an eye, and TnC now getting split up, as split push would suggest, getting split up, and now, Rubik's gonna jump up. He's still got the stolen anti-mage blink, gets the lift back onto KP, but can they finish him off? They're gonna be forced to throw the reverse polarity to kill him here, and will it be enough? In comes Cox. There's the Mana Void, and there's the next Hex out from KP. 2 already dead. Macro Pyre. Will it be enough to finish off KP? It will, so it's 2 for 1 so far, and a buyback from Mag. Cox fighting, gets bashed. Will there be another bash? There's the stun from the Ice Path. Cox somehow still alive. Blink off cooldown, but he's still got the Aegis. He doesn't care. He's going to keep fighting. 33 HP. Aegis now pops. There's a buyback. KP into the fight. Dead is the Magnus. And TnC find themselves with no buybacks and with a very angry Fairy Tail lineup right at their doorstep. Shin's going to walk himself in at this very moment, and Famofu wandering his way across at the same time, but now Fairy Tail playing the objective straight on to the racks, but KP looking for these opportunities at a moment's notice, gets the Hex, now throwing at the nuke, Samofa comes in, Sonic Wave thrown out, Cox, here we go, and KP ready with one more Hex, Aaron forced to just jump himself back into the fountain, melee barracks taken on top, and Fairy Tail turn their attention towards the barracks on mid to get them down no problem, and I think that's going to be a game apiece. Fairy Tail still in with a chance, and both teams have their eyes set on advancing to the main event. But, I mean, I feel like I maybe was a little bit, you know, maybe I built up the KP Tinker a little bit too much, but I think it speaks for itself. For anyone who hasn't seen K Phoenix play before, I mean, I called it, you know, all your eggs in one basket. Well, when KP is that basket, you're not too unhappy with the situation. So we are ready to GG go next. The GG is going to be called in TnC. We shall see if maybe it's going to be a ban on Tinker or something along those lines in the next game. Nice reverse blind is going to connect on 3. The game is ready, however. They're going to get the skewer back into the fountain. Cux apparently just wants kills, doesn't really care about his own life. And Shin going to try and spin back to the safety of the fountain. But KP, this time being the gatekeeper of the Radiant Fountain with his double layer of March. So, looks like Fairy Tail going to ensure this victory, get a little bit more farm on the board. Gotta maximize that GPM and hopefully take this momentum and take it into Game 3, feeling confident that they can take another game off TnC. And KP is just ghosting in the base. Look at those stacks of Soul Ring. However, doesn't really help. The Ghost Scepter doesn't really help him too much against the Macro Pyre. So that's going to be game. This is the AMD Dota 2 Premier League. This is the regional qualifier finals. I am Basecamp. This was game 2 between for the semifinal of TnC versus Fairy Tail. Both of these teams facing off to see who is going to advance to the main event, and we will find out in game 3 coming up soon. If you guys have any feedback for me, you know the drill. Send me a message in chat or leave me an email at basecampdota@gmail.com. I would love to hear from you guys. But yeah, that's going to be it for me from this game, and I will be back within the next couple of minutes for the third and final game. I hope to see you guys there.